Hey guys, welcome to our first Friday market recap where Richard Allen and I will be going through some of the events that have happened throughout the week and our opinions on it. Richard, welcome. Thanks for hanging out with me.
Thanks, Julie.
So should we dive right into it with the big topics of this week? Obviously,
let's do
big thing happening. We have all of our Reddit meme stocks.
Yeah, AMC and GME were really taking up the headlines this week. It looks like AMC is actually up 3.5% today. GME is down 3% today. But AMC, a far cry from the $60 price target we saw just a few days ago. Crazy price action on these stocks. And both Wendy's and Clover Health were also kind of filtered into that as well. And Clover Health back up 2.5% on the day, but Wendy's down, similar to what we're seeing with GameStop, down 2% today.
Yeah, and I'm curious too why Wendy's is even becoming a Reddit stock as well. You know, I understood with AMC and GameStop, those original ones, we had kind of those businesses that were faltering, heavily shorted, but Wendy's isn't one of those. And so it kind of seems a random pick. I know everyone's loving the tendies.
Wendy's tendies sounds cool.
Yeah.
I think that's it. I think they have chicken nuggets, and that's the only reason.
Right? Because I know Reddit, they like making tendies or whatever as part of their logo or lingo. And I think honestly, Wendy's just got pulled into the mix there. So it's interesting that any stock can now kind of be part of this group, it seems.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are really paying attention to the Wall Street Bets community, right? And even so much so that there are big companies and hedge funds scraping data from Reddit, trying to find what people are talking about before they start investing in these companies.
Yeah.
And I think that's having a huge impact on the stock market for sure.
Well, and like you said too, the hedge funds reacting. I think they're trying to get a handle on this since it's been such a disruption on their end. I've heard some people even say that this is a tactic to draw attention away from GameStop and AMC by having all these other companies in there too. Like there's all kinds of differing theories out there, but I don't know. The hedge funds are just rolling, trying to figure out how to get ahead of this now.
Well, they've lost, just in AMC, I've heard figures as high as 15 billion this year shorting AMC. And that's absolutely crazy. And there's a lot of controversy around, naked shorting and synthetic shares and things like that with AMC. So potentially a lot of illegal stuff going on. So you have people like, Gensler with the SEC coming out and saying they're going to do a lot of investigating, specifically these meme stocks. And I think that is worrying a lot of the hedge funds. And I think the retail investors are, especially this Wall Street Bets community, they're feeling like they're finally winning. And I love that sentiment for sure.
Oh, for sure. Right. And because hedge funds are complaining that this is market manipulation, whereas the retail investor is saying, well, you guys have been manipulating this all the time on your end with this type of trading. So it's interesting to see how it'll play out. And now is it both AMC and GameStop doing additional share offerings too, now that their prices have soared so high? So capitalizing on these big price increases too.
Yeah, and I think it's brilliant, especially both of these companies. GameStop has raised about $1.5 billion, I believe, in the latest offering, and AMC's raised about $600 million. And in both of those cases, they need the cash to survive what went on this past year with the COVID-19 pandemic and what still continues. But GameStop, came out with earnings this week and really shocked Wall Street and beating expectations by quite a bit. So that was good to see. And I know with AMC, one of my favorite thing to do for myself and my family is to go see the movies, go to AMC. And we've gone probably now 3 times in the past couple weeks. So I know more people are definitely going to see the movies now that mask mandates are getting lifted and stuff like that. So
it's definitely going to be a big part of the whole reopening phase here and stuff too, right? GameStop, we'll see. I feel like they have a bit more of a challenge. I've driven past some GameStops lately, and I'm really curious to go inside and see how much business is actually occurring. But I think AMC will definitely benefit over these next coming months.
Yeah, with GameStop, I think, the last time I went in a store, they were severely understaffed. There was probably 10 people waiting in line and 1 person behind the counter. So they seem to be quite busy, and I think any publicity for these companies is a good thing.
Yeah.
So I think, I know same store traffic has been up with GameStop, and they've done a lot of restructuring and closing, locations that aren't too busy.
Yeah,
So been some smart moves for GameStop for sure.
definitely.
Yeah, so in other news, we had Bitcoin and the Colonial Pipeline ransomware. We had the United States government actually seizing that ransom. And I think that freaked a lot of crypto investors out. People tend to think that crypto is the safest place to hold your money. And now there's this public ledger with Bitcoin, right? You can see every single transaction. But I think that people didn't think that the US government had the capability of coming in and seizing this Bitcoin, and that freaked a lot of investors out. We saw dips as low as like 30,000 on Bitcoin
Yeah.
before recovering the other day. So what are your thoughts on what's going on there?
Yeah, I think it definitely kind of shook the foundation there. Bitcoin is supposed to be this untouchable, not involved with the government whatsoever. And now all of a sudden they say that they accessed their privacy key, basically meaning they got their password and took the money, right? Like took it back, completely got involved. So that definitely shook some people's confidence in it. I think they're realizing that it's not as untouchable as initially believed. They also had some other headwinds too, right? We have Elon Musk tweeting different breakup emojis and different memes like that, where Bitcoin's been on a roller coaster a little bit, and it's recovering now more so, back up close to that 37,000 price again, but certainly still down drastically from those previous highs, up around 60,000, right? So
yeah, speaking of that volatility, right? We just had Coinbase yesterday announcing that they're going to start working with 401k providers. And I wanted to ask you whether you think this is a good idea for people's retirement. And essentially, Coinbase is going to be offering crypto transactions and investing to these 401k providers. And the volatility is crazy, right? So I don't think it's going to work for everyone, but I wanted to give you a chance to give me your opinion on that as well.
sure. Obviously, crypto is kind of becoming the way of the future, right? So it's inevitable that this is going to become more included in the normal investment portfolio. That being said, I mean, I love long-term investing. I'm that kind of style, like hold for a long time. I'm big on diversifying. And I think that's what it'll come down to. I did read one article that the one company who will be offering it soon, I think it was for us all incorporated was one of them, but it would be limiting it to 5% of the portfolio that would be allowed to be in crypto. And I think that's key here. I think that really helps give it some exposure, but limit that risk, limit some of that volatility, because obviously you can't put your whole 401k into crypto. I think that would be crazy.
No.
No matter how long your time frame is, you just need that diversification. So I think it makes sense. I think it's the way of the future, but I think it is important that they do limit that exposure overall, personally.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic way to limit that exposure, and having companies take a stand on how much they're going to let people invest. I think
right.
that's a good thing. I didn't see that, so I think that's super smart.
Yeah, because otherwise you're going to have people just YOLO putting everything in there. And we've seen a lot of that even with these Reddit stocks, right? These people are suddenly making ridiculous gains in short periods of time. So everyone's getting really excited about this. Sometimes maybe putting a bit more in there, taking on a bit more risk than they should, and often can pay off. But on the flip side, it can be very volatile. So especially when we're talking 401ks, I think, yeah, they definitely need to be protected there a little bit.
Yeah, because I mean, how terrible would that be on somebody's mental health to see these 30, 40%, sometimes 50% swings in these cryptos? I think it would be, I wouldn't enjoy that in my long-term portfolio at all.
With long-term, I understand you can take some more risk because you have time to ride out those fluctuations.
Yep.
But not everyone is comfortable watching those fluctuations. Like you said, that can be very stressful. So unless you're really able to turn an eye and not pay any attention to it, it could be a very, very worrying experience for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned Elon Musk a little bit, or did you?
I did, yeah. With his tweets on Bitcoin and how he can just send that crypto market any direction he wants to, it seems.
Should he be getting in trouble for that? It seems like this one person having so much influence over trillions of dollars, and that's the reality now, right? Is we have trillions of dollars in crypto and hundreds of billions of dollars every day transacting in crypto.
Yeah. And he's like the puppet master right now, right? He tweets. It can be the most obscure Bitcoin, or not Bitcoin, but crypto coin that we haven't heard of, and suddenly it's up 200% because Elon tweeted a couple emojis that could be indicated towards that coin, right? Like it's a little scary to watch. It's entertaining on one hand to sit back and watch, but it is kind of scary the influence that he is having over this sector.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on whether there should be more regulation around crypto or not?
Ooh, that's tough, right? Because it comes back to it being a fairly unregulated currency. So you don't want to bring in more regulation and kind of lose that appeal to it, but you don't want it to be so maybe easily manipulated. So yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. I could see arguments on both sides. What are your thoughts? I don't know quite how I feel about that yet, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's over 90% of crypto transactions are done through the normal regulated channels, through places like Coinbase and Kraken and Gemini and very highly regulated exchanges. So a lot of people don't know that. They think it's this wild west of craziness and people buying drugs and doing illicit things with crypto, but that really isn't the case, right? Because it is such a public thing. You can track every single transaction on a blockchain. And that's really important.
More mainstream too, right? We're seeing these big institutional investors jump on board. So it is definitely becoming more mainstream.
Right. Yeah. So I think I agree with you. I don't think it should be more regulated, but I think it should fall under the purview of the SEC or similar sort of, like the stock market, because to have someone, Elon Musk couldn't do this. He couldn't do the same thing he does regarding the stock market, or he would get in trouble, right?
Well, so he did get in trouble, right? Was it a couple of years ago now, or 1 year with Tesla when he was making certain tweets? He did get his hand slapped for that. So he is aware of kind of poking the SEC bear and messing around with that he can get in trouble. So it's interesting to see him so openly kind of, I want to say manipulating, but influencing these coins.
Yeah, and I don't think it's his intention, but regarding the tweets a couple of years ago, he was claiming Tesla was going to go private at a particular valuation, and that sent the stock soaring, and then sent it down when you found out that wasn't the case, and that's blatant manipulation. Sure. In this case, I think he's just following the meme bandwagon, but he definitely could be manipulating the market for his own, because like Dogecoin and things like that, he could be an investor in Dogecoin, and we don't know that. But craziness there for Elon Musk. I think there should be something that should be done with crypto to make it a little more regulated in terms of what people can say and can't say, because even the influencer market that we're in, there's people on Twitter pumping these coins, different coins, and making tons of money doing it. Mm-hmm. And we don't know that. We don't know what coins they're pumping, how much they're making, things like that. And that's a bit scary as well, because I feel like it sets people up for losing a lot of money.
Of course. And there's so many of these new coins out there too at these dirt cheap prices. So you're kind of gambling that is just going to get picked up by Elon or somebody with a big following and suddenly blow up. And the percentage to be made there when you have these coins that are worth fractions of a penny, like it's huge, but I don't know, there's a new big coin every week. It's kind of hard to follow the latest trend. It seems to move from one to the other, and I don't know.
Yeah, I made a joke on my channel the other day. I said, what's your favorite altcoin? Is it Safe Moon or Safer Moon or Safest Moon? Because those are all real cryptocurrencies. And
The most
it's just a
safe
new
moon
coin
ever.
every day.
Exactly. Just name some slight iteration of the next. Some of them are horribly inappropriate. Some of them are hilarious. It's yeah, interesting to watch.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Now let's talk about inflation. This has been a big topic lately. We had CPI data coming out this week. 5% year over year is where we're sitting at. What are your feelings on this?
Yeah, I think that's a scary headline, and I think that's what the news and media were hoping for, was some sort of scary headline that we could say, well, look, inflation is actually double what the Fed is coming out and saying it's supposed to be, and that just isn't really the case. If you look at certain sectors of inflation, like lumber cost and real estate, for instance, right? Lumber cost is actually up 300% year over year, which is causing real estate to really, really boom right now.
Yeah.
And that is scary for a lot of people wanting to move because interest rates are so low. We have historic low interest rates for mortgages, which is fantastic for most people. But if they're moving from a rental to buying a home, and all of a sudden the home is 30% more expensive than it was last year, that makes a huge difference in terms of your mortgage payment and things like that. And then we also have, certain sectors that are lower. Food cost is lower. Consumer goods overall are lower, except for certain things like used vehicles. We have used vehicles rising almost 8% a month over month, which is crazy as well. I know one of our vehicles broke down the other day. We had some transmission issues, and we brought it in. It was $3,000 to fix the transmission. And then it started doing the same thing. And I was like, no, we're going to have to buy a new vehicle at the worst possible time to buy a new vehicle. And, we bought a new Ford Fusion not that long ago. And I have the dealership trying to buy that from me already because prices have gone up that much for used cars. So what are your thoughts on, the Fed saying one thing, trying to curb inflation at around 2.5% a year, but another thing entirely happening for certain sectors of the economy?
Yeah, it's interesting, like you said, that it is just those few sectors. And I think those are ones that have a big impact on us too. Obviously, your home, your place of living, that's your biggest monthly expense in a lot of cases. And I've known several people house shopping lately. And on one end, it's great because they're selling their home the same day it's listed or within the first week, often at asking or even above. But then, like you said, they're going to get the next place. And now they're in that bidding war and they're having to spend way more than they maybe initially planned or thought. So it's that double-edged sword where it's great if you're selling, a bit trickier if you're buying. I actually have been used cars shopping as well during the worst time, and had narrowed down my search and was looking at a couple dealerships, and I would go back the next day and those cars were gone already. So that was interesting to see too, because I had kind of been in a bubble about the used car industry there and that it was on a rise like that. So that was an eye-opener in my own personal shopping experience that I had to be jumping on these, but also was going to be probably paying a little bit more than I would say last year.
Yeah, and it's a crazy difference. So I bought a vehicle about a year ago for 15,000, and that same vehicle, same mileage, same year, all of that
More miles now.
is 21,000 now.
Oh my goodness.
That's the price difference from a year ago. And that, that falls directly on the semiconductor shortage and less new vehicles being produced right now. So it makes sense, but it's still, it's definitely affecting people's pocketbooks right now for sure. And in a way that isn't really obvious. And that I think is scary for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So speaking of vehicles and the semiconductor shortage and stuff, we have Tesla coming out and actually beating their expectations for deliveries in China and Europe, which is really, really nice. I think as a shareholder of Tesla, I was excited to see that they crushed numbers from April. But, Tesla stock is pretty flat right now and has been trading flat since November last year. So what are your thoughts on, Tesla moving forward? I know they just released the new Model S Plaid yesterday, and a lot of people were excited about that.
I know. And like you said, they have been moving fairly sideways. We came down from some of those big highs up around, what was it, 900, over 1,000 at one point. Been pretty consistent here around that $600 price point. Really excited about those numbers. I think the Plaid is a really nice looking car too. And it sounds pretty snazzy, right? It's saying, I think it was 0 to 60 in like 2 seconds, but it is coming out at like $130,000 price point too. So it'll be interesting to see how much attention that gets. It looks great. The inside looks like a relaxing like living room almost with your big TV screen and everything, right? It's pretty snazzy. So I hope it brings back more attention. I'd love more hype, not just hype, but excitement about Tesla again. I feel like Elon's directed a lot of it to crypto. Let's bring some of it actually back to Tesla. I love watching Tesla. I love watching them on TipRanks too. It is the most diverse set of analyst ratings I think you'll find. I would love for someone to find a stock that has more differing opinions on it. You have downsides of 70%, upsides of 70%. I think the lowest target's like $60, whereas the highest is over 1,000. So it's amazing seeing all the differing opinions on Tesla. Personally, like I'm a holder as well. I'm long term on it, and I would love to see a little bit more wind in the sail here moving forward.
Do you agree with Kathy Wood? Do you think it's going to hit 3,000 by 2025, or is that audacious? I think it's audacious.
Yeah, I say I don't know 2025. I would love to think it's possible. You know, maybe we'll come out with some big exciting news in the next couple of years and it just takes right off. I mean, maybe a couple thousand by that point, but hey, shoot for the moon, right? Let's hope Kathy's right.
Yeah. I think the big thing right now is just for them to not have any negative press, right?
Yeah.
I think, you know, no more autopilot crashes or
no disappointments,
fires or things like that. Because, you know, that scares people, even though they pretty much are the safest car in the world from a rating standpoint and number of crashes and things like that. But it's always a big headline, and I think it scares people. When
they get a lot of attention, right? So when there is a negative headline, people pay attention, where a smaller company that might get a bit of attention, but it's not going to be advertised and publicized the same way that Tesla does. They're under a close eye by the masses. So any news, good or bad, goes far.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, that was our weekly market update from Julie and I here on the TipRanks YouTube channel. Thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate each and every single one of you. If you didn't already do it, hit that beautiful red subscribe button down below. Julie, thank you for joining me. That was fun.
Yes, always a pleasure. I'm sure we'll see you back here next Friday.
Absolutely.
All right. Have a good weekend, guys.
You too.
Cheers.